Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. So come, hang out on this couch. It's big, it's fake, it's wonderful, and it's waiting for you, all of you, to come and watch today's video. This has come suggested by, I believe, at least two of you. Hidden Secrets of Leeds City Varieties Music Hall. So, you know, since we've been doing a lot of videos on that part of the country, and so this one, of course, naturally gets suggested because it's right there. So I'm excited to look at it. I hope you all come along and hang out. If you are new, welcome. And if you're coming back, I appreciate, of course, all of you from the bottom of my heart who do. Hidden Secrets of Leeds City Varieties Music Hall. Let's take a look.
Hello and welcome to a brand new video, and we're here today at the City Varieties in Leeds, which is the longest running music hall in Britain.
That's very nice.
Established in 1865 as a room above a pub for the working classes, the City Varieties Music Hall holds the record for the nation's longest running music hall. The Swan Inn opened in 1762 on Swan Street in Leeds, containing a singing room on the upper floors of the pub. By the 1860s, the pub had gained itself a notorious reputation of harbouring prostitutes and thieves. A new owner, one Charles Thornton, decided he wanted to clean up the reputation of this well-known establishment and build a brand new grand music hall on the upper floors of the pub. Designed by architect George Henry Smith, Thornton's Music Hall opened on the 13th of March 1865, but the hall could date back much further than that. It depends on how it was remodelled from the original. Advertisements were placed in the National Stage newspaper, and stars of the highest order were said to grace the stage of this new popular lounge and labelled as one of the handsomest halls in the provinces. The hall was met with great success and inspired other local taverns to follow suit and convert their own tired singing rooms into more desirable venues. This led to some fierce competition over the following years. The music hall was put up for auction in 1876 and was purchased by one John Stansfield. Thornton used his profits to fund his next project of Thornton's Arcade, which still runs parallel to the City Varieties today. The hall provided named performers for an affordable price. Affordable by the working classes, unlike the nearby theatres at the time, who only attracted the wealthiest and well-turned-out folk. It hosted famous faces of the time, such as Houdini, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Eartha Kitt, Morecambe and Wise, Lonnie Donegan, and Arthur Askey. In order to survive the declining music halls, the City Varieties became a peep show in the 1950s, parading nude women on stage for punters, but they weren't allowed to move, as this was considered far too racy. People would sit on the front row with pea shooters and try to get the girls to move. The hall was home to a pilot show for the BBC in 1953. Named The Good Old Days, it proved a big hit for the channel and ran for over 30 years, making the City Varieties famous all around the world. The music hall had many owners and name changes throughout its life, and eventually inherited the name City Varieties that it still uses to this day. Now owned by Leeds Heritage Theatres, it continues to operate as originally intended, having had a major refurbishment in 2009 at a cost of £10 million.
Worth it.
It has been carefully restored to survive for many more years to come. During the restoration works, they upgraded it to modern standards, whilst uncovering and restoring many features from the past, many of which we will see in this video. We're now entering the stalls area of the auditorium, still decorated in its original colours and style. The main auditorium could hold over 1,000 people in its early years, with people crammed into a sweltering space that smelled of tobacco and stale sweat. Today, it holds a comfortable 460 people, and hopefully no Victorian smells this time around. During the restoration works, some of this original paintwork was uncovered underneath the plaster. It has been left as they found it. And over on the front of the boxes, they found this original tile work hidden below the plasterwork. This is believed to have been a very early design in the auditorium, with the plasterwork added in its early years to cover this up. They incorporated some of this original design into the new ceiling decorations as a nod to its roots. The hall has hosted members of royalty, with the then Prince of Wales to Queen Victoria, who was said to be involved in an affair with an actress called Lily Langtry, who performed at the City Varieties. He's said to sneak into the music hall and hide in the royal box closest to the stage, waiting for his mistress to finish performing and join him for some entertainment of his own. The curtains of the box would be drawn so that he would not be recognised. And as a thank you for the discretion of the staff, he donated his royal crest, which still sits above the stage to this day.
Wow.
This is the view from inside the boxes at the circle level. These are quite small and can hold 2 persons these days, with 10 boxes in total, 5 on each side, and followed by some smaller side-facing seats. And this is an old cable run installed in the 1950s for the BBC equipment. This was when the hall hosted The Good Old Days, a show that ran for 30 years. It enabled them to run cables from the backstage area to the outside of the building and its production facilities. This old telephone was still left hanging on the wall, believed to have been for the foyer to communicate with the various areas of the theatre for show cues. Let's see if it still works.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. But I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you.
And finally, the view from the upper circle. It still features some seats known as the slips. These are no longer used for shows. These windows were uncovered during the restoration works, sealed by plasterwork for many years. They have been brought back into use to allow some natural light back into the hall. This staircase was the old entrance into the music hall from the Swan Tavern below. The original door would have been behind this shutter. Here we can see some of the dressing rooms backstage, decorated in various styles. Some have this detailed Art Deco style, and some are in the traditional format. In this dressing room, we can see what appears to be claw marks in the original timber supports. This is rumoured to have been a large performing bear that did this in frustration, used in some kind of stage show many years ago.
Wow.
This is a small passageway accessible from the ground floor. It's landlocked on all sides from the surrounding buildings, but this may have been open at one point and out onto the street. Now let's head backstage. The stage is built on quite a gradient, with it sloping steeply downwards towards the audience. This side door was used for the loading dock into the theatre, and only when it's open do you realise how high the building is above the pub below. Now up in the fly tower of the hall, the scenes are operated in numerous ways, using counterweights to balance them, just as with any other theatre, but some can be operated by using a drill to turn the pulley, as demonstrated by John. This is the control desk located at the back of the auditorium. All modern tech these days. And into the follow spot room, located high up in the rafters, and with only a narrow window to view the stage from. These have to be operated at a back-breaking angle in order to see what they're lighting up. Whilst up in the rafters, we can see some of the lighting truss mounting points. This enables them to lower it to add lighting. And the original roof beams and timber work, still holding strong after all these decades of use.
That's awesome.
As we enter the bar area, you can see this old sign uncovered during the restoration. They kindly left it on display. The bar features a mini museum to the music hall's past, with pictures of previous performers and posters advertising some of the shows litter the walls. A lot of these things were found under floorboards during the restoration, and this old fireplace was also uncovered. The more modern addition to the building is this new lift built on the front as an extension. It enables the music hall to be more accessible for wheelchair users, whilst not touching any of the building inside to install it. This is one of the old entrances from the headrow. This would have allowed the music hall to be entered directly from the street as a main thoroughfare. This is no longer used today. This is the foyer and box office area that you would use today. It features a grand staircase to access all levels of the building. It still has an entrance door at ground level from the Swan Inn. The Swan still operates today as a licensed premises below the music hall, and is over 260 years old and counting. This iconic venue is a must-see in Leeds, and will long hold the title as the nation's longest-running music hall.
That was really good. I just, there's something about old theaters that really is interesting, right? I mean, the history, who's performed there, their place in their place in the world of, or just in that little community or town. I love old theaters, and I love the fact that they restore them, find artwork under all plaster. Why would they plaster over some of that artwork? You know, it just, that's part of the history of, as we go through time. It's just incredible. And then also the different versions of this music hall to be able to survive through time. You know, its beginnings above a pub to burlesque, I'm sure, and a little more racy type content, to then a variety show on television, you know, to what it is today. It's just, I love it. I just love it. Love the history of it. So thank you for that suggestion. That was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed that too. Has anybody been there? That would be my question to you. And if you have, what did you see, and how was it? It looks wonderful. It looks wonderful. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Thanks so much for coming. I appreciate all of you. Take care. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. Yeah.